Absolutely, I can. We can piece those together. Is this
Awesome.
my screen?
Yeah, it's still your screen.
Okay. So in terms of the role of the advisor, what they do or are, or how they support you all, absolutely, they are a sounding board for your organization. They help you process some of those ideas. They also make sure that you're in line with the university policies and procedures. So let's say, for instance, you're bringing in an outside speaker, and that outside speaker, you've agreed to pay them an honorarium to come and host that event. That requires a very formal budgetary process. It requires a check request or a purchase order, depending on the amount. And you, as students, are not eligible to sign contracts on behalf of the institution. It has to go through a faculty or a staff member. And that's where your advisor should be able to walk you through that process and make sure that you're in line with the university policies and procedures. They can also provide you feedback and guidance. And ideally, if you have a really great advisor, they should also provide you, as president or vice president of your organization, some mentorship. Because this may be the first time that you're in charge of leading other people or setting the vision for an organization. So ideally, your advisor is going to help kind of mentor you and teach you kind of what that role is and how to do that well, and help you understand who you are as a leader and what that means for your organization. And then, as you all said, they're a general resource. And then that last point, accountability, 100%. And this is where your advisor becomes really important. You all know what you're trying to accomplish as a club and organization and what that big dream is. But everybody needs somebody that's going to hold them accountable. So if you said, we want to recruit 12 new members by October 15th, and the beginning of October rolls around, and you haven't done any recruitment events, your advisor should know that that was your goal and should be pinging you and saying, hey, Eddie, we said we were going to have 3 recruitment events, and I haven't seen anything come through. I haven't heard anything. Talk to me about what's going on. Where are we at in that process? They help build in that sense of accountability for you all. What we don't want is for you to have what I call a paper advisor, where they're your advisor on our forms, and if there's a check request, sure, they sign it and they send it along, but none of those things on the left are happening. That's not ideal. That's not what we want. We don't want someone who just signs off on paper and says, yeah, you're required to have an advisor, so I'll be one, but they're not an active and engaged part of that process. Now, for some organizations, you may have a much closer relationship with your advisor just based on the nature of the work that you do. For other things, you know, if you're predominantly hosting smaller events and things, and you know, you've been in an organization for a long time, and I'll pick on Signet. I don't remember if they're in here, but they've existed forever. They've got kind of a set, this is what we do and this is how we do it, and they've got that process. So their advisor can help support that process, but for the most part, it's a well-oiled machine. For other organizations like First Gen, if you're a brand new club, you're going to need a lot more support and resources. And that's really where your advisor should come into play. So it's really important that you all make sure that you have advisors that want to help you make that vision a reality and want to serve as mentors and truly have the time and capacity to do that for you well. Because that is one of the most important things that you can do as an organizational leader, is make sure that you have a great mentor for your group. The other thing that we see sometimes that we definitely don't want is advisors who make all of the decisions for you, who say, well, this is the event that we're going to do, and this is the day that we're going to do it, and this is the room that we're going to host it in, and the advisors kind of take the lead. The advisor is not the president of the organization. They are a sounding board and they are a resource, but they are not the ones in charge. So again, making sure that you have an advisor who's not trying to run it for you or make all of the decisions for you. They're also not in charge of leading the organization. They're not in charge of leading your regularly scheduled meetings. That should really be the role of the president and the vice president. So make sure that, again, you understand kind of what those boundaries are with your advisor, and that you have someone who's really willing to support your organization as a whole.
I actually can't see your screen.
Oh.
I don't know if that's just me or...
Nope, it wasn't shared. You are 100% right. Thank you for telling me that. So let me... So there's the kind of the do's and don'ts. That way it'll at least show up in the video. I'm happy to share this presentation afterwards as well. So in thinking about kind of expectations with your advisor, you should be communicating with them regularly, whether that's through weekly or bi-weekly kind of check-ins and one-on-ones, or monthly, or again, whatever makes the most sense for your organization. And then if you're planning an event, ideally, your advisor should know about that. And I bring this up because in the year that I've been in the role that I'm in, we had several issues last year where students were planning pretty large events, and they were bringing in off-campus partners, and they were inviting the president and other academic deans and things like that. And there were some issues with the event that we needed to process, and the advisor had no idea the event was even happening. And our first line of defense, when something like that comes up, I'm going to reach out to the advisor and say, hey, Eddie, you advise XYZ organization, talk to me about what this event is and what you've talked about with your club and our president. Your advisor should know if you have big events coming up, if you have high profile guests, if you're bringing in an outside speaker, your advisor should know about those things, because we're going to reach out to them if we have questions and we can't get in touch with you. They're our next point of contact. So make sure that you're planning events with them, make sure that you're using them as a resource, and make sure that you've got regularly scheduled communication or regularly scheduled meetings with them. And again, you can decide what makes the most sense based on what you need as a president and what your organization needs, but it's really important that you have that regularly scheduled time with your advisor. And then lastly, I'm going to talk about the role of student engagement and how Eddie and myself and Amber, who is the Assistant Dean of Student Engagement, can help support you and your organizations. So first and foremost, we give you a lot of freedom as a registered student organization. So we don't, if you look at the manual, it's not terribly in depth. We give you a lot of deference to do what you need to do and what's right for your organization without kind of forcing everybody into the same or a similar box. Our primary role, when we do have those student activity fees and there is a budget for SGA, I oversee SGA and advise that organization, and I assist them in the budget allocation and resources for registered student organizations. So our department kind of oversees that budgetary process in conjunction with SGA. I don't make any of the decisions because I simply serve as an advisor for SGA, but I help make sure that they're in line with their own constitution in terms of how those things get allocated. We also approve and process your event requests. And again, we do that so we can make sure that you have the resources and support, and that if something, if you don't have something that you need, that we're working with you and working with your advisor to make sure that we can help you with that. And then student engagement can provide a lot of resources and support as well. So we have access to a lot of like tangible programmatic things. So decorations, and Will, I'm going to pick on you with the gaming club. So the gaming club assists student engagement with one of our campus traditions, Ghost Stories. We have all the decorations for Ghost Stories. So gaming club doesn't need to buy any of that. We have those resources. You just have to let us know that you want to use them. We have like buzzers. If you wanted to do an in-person Jeopardy game, like we have a whole setup for that. We have speakers that you can check out. You can check out a Wii. You could check out a Switch if you wanted to do a gaming event. We have all sorts of things that you can use in terms of resources and decorations. And, if you need pictures for lemonade or whatever, we have all of that stuff. And that's where it's helpful in that event request. If there are things like that you need, let us know, because it may be that we already have those and we can save you from paying for things that we already have kind of bulk access to. We also provide leadership and organizational training. So part of that is done in ICC meetings, but we can also work with your organization. So if you're a new organization and you're not sure kind of how to set it up, who should be responsible for what the breakdown of communication or all of those things are, we can serve as kind of organizational consultants in that way and walk you through or help you figure out what makes sense. If you need help revising your constitution or figuring out any of those kind of organizational functions, we can help in that process. We can also help you process event logistics. So if you're planning something on campus or virtually and you're not sure, like this is what we want to do, but we don't really know how to make it work, we can help you process that information as well. And again, we have access to things like Jackbox. So I know I talked about this earlier. We went ahead as student engagement and bulk bought some of those electronic games this summer. So if you wanted to do a virtual game night and use Jackbox, we bought all 6 boxes. So there's I think there's like 5 or 6 games in each one. So you've got 30 or 40 different games that you could choose from. All you have to do is say, hey, we want to, can we have the Jackbox login information? And I can give you that, and you have access to run and do that as a virtual event. So we can provide resources in that way too. And then again, if there are any financial requests or contracts that you are doing for an event, like bringing in a speaker or an outside vendor, if you were hiring a DJ or you know, a band to come in or something along those lines, or if you needed to purchase something that was really expensive. I'm trying to think, like Quack, for instance, if they're buying, you know, like $1,000 worth of coffee cups to do their stuff, that would require a purchase order. So we process all of that paperwork. And again, making sure that you're in line with the organization, the university rules and responsibilities for finances. And then we serve as an accountability system, both to you and to your advisor. And just, again, as that system of checks and balances, making sure that your advisor is providing the resources and support that they should to you as an organization. And then Eddie, make sure that you're staying in good standing with our office. So he's going to make sure that you're turning in rosters, that you're showing up to ICC meetings, and all of those kind of smaller things that help you function well as an organization. So I know that's been a lot of information today. So we're going to have a quick review. And there may be some prizes that I can send out to people. So we're going to just do a quick review. So everybody make sure that you're kind of ready on Poll Everywhere. I think it's like 5 or 6 questions. It's not anything crazy. So question number 1, my primary role as a leader is to motivate others, set the vision for my organization, complete required paperwork, or build morale. And you should be able to pick one of those answers. Yes, 95% of you got that right. So your primary role as an organization leader is to set the vision for your organization. Absolutely. Next question. Oh, it's got a leaderboard in here. I didn't realize that. That's exciting. So I think you get points for how fast you do it as well. So Connor, you were in first place. My RSO has a lot of event ideas, and we need help processing which ones we should focus on. Who should we talk to first? Student engagement, your organization vice president, or your organization advisor? Absolutely. So if you need help processing stuff, first and foremost, we want you to use your advisors as a resource. So if you're trying to figure out, you know, we've got 5 really great ideas and we don't know which one to focus on or which way, they're the person that's going to help hold you accountable to that vision. So you can process with your advisor and they can help you narrow down, okay, if this is our vision, which one of these 4 event ideas is going to help us make that vision a reality in the best possible way. I need help or resources to host a virtual event. Who can I ask for assistance? Student engagement, IT, or my advisor? Absolutely. So there were 2 correct answers. I probably should have said that for this one. You can ask student engagement. We can help provide that resource and support. You can also ask your advisor. Either one of those would work in terms of resources for a virtual event. Student engagement would probably be in terms of actually helping facilitate something virtually or testing some of those things out. We would probably have more space and more resources because we've been doing that all summer. So we may be a little bit of a better resource in terms of things like Ring Central or some of those electronic kind of engagement opportunities, but you can certainly work with your advisor as well. How many ICC meetings am I required to attend? At least one per term, at least two per term, at least two per year, or all of them? Yes, all of them. ICC meetings are required, every single one. If you cannot make it, please let Eddie know through the organization president and you are sending a different delegate. So let's say Corey's not going to be able to make it to the one in September. She's going to need to send somebody else. So she's going to need to let Eddie know that. But absolutely all ICC meetings are 100% required for the full academic year. It's 3 meetings a semester, so 6 meetings total. Not a huge ask, and those are on Wednesdays during common hour. How often do Eddie, did you talk about rosters?
I was going to bring up that they needed to turn the roster in on October 15th.
Okay.
We did
I
not
was
get to that
thinking
one.
that well, we'll do this question and then we'll give you the answer. So I'm sorry if you missed this question. I was thinking Eddie was going to talk about it in the first half, and I'm just now realizing that we have not done that yet. So if you had to guess how frequently you would need to turn in membership rosters, would it be once a year in the fall semester, once per term during the first week of classes, or twice per term, once during the first week of classes and once midway through the semester? Ooh, you guys are pretty good at this. Yes. So we are going to ask, and this will be a little bit new in terms of roles as president. We are going to ask that you turn in membership rosters twice a year. So once at the beginning of the semester, and then midway through the semester, once you've had time to recruit new people, we're going to ask that you turn in membership rosters. I know that's not something that we've been really adamant about previously, but that is part of our department. Part of our strategic plan is to keep track of how many people are engaged and connected across campus, and in what way. So who's in a leadership role, who's involved in a club and organization, so that we can make sure that we don't have students falling through the cracks. So we are going to ask that you turn in RSO rosters twice a semester, once at the beginning of the semester, and then once kind of midway through for any new people that you've added. When hosting an online event, it is important to build time to test technology, be engaging, make it interactive, or all of the above. Yes, all of the above. Very good. Let's see. That might have been the last question. All right, so Corey, we've got first place. I'm going to take a picture of my scores here, and we will reach out to you in terms of your prize. And with that, we have about 6-ish minutes left. And I want to be respectful of everybody's time. But that being said, Eddie and I will stay here as long as we need to answer any general questions that you all have left. Eddie, I'm going to turn it over to you if you have anything left that you need to communicate or you want to remind them about. And then we will open it up for any questions that you all have for us.
Yeah, everybody. Just like Monica was saying, I really appreciate everybody coming today. I know it was in the midst of your Sunday afternoon, and I hope that this was beneficial to you all. I hope you were able to learn a lot of things. I know this is a complicated and a little bit gray area for us, but we're all figuring it out together. We're all going to be able to be successful. We're going to get through it. That's not even a question, but we're going to be becoming successful at the end of it. So if you guys have any questions throughout any of it, please feel free to email me, message me, just reach out, because I'm definitely here as a resource to help all of you. And get your videos to me by the end of the day.